Right now, on the phone in your hand, there are dozens of payment apps. In your bank account, you see numbers. Maybe you even have a crypto portfolio. But let me ask you this. If trucks don't arrive at supermarkets tomorrow, what use will those numbers be? Welcome. I want to talk to you about a truth that stretches from history into the future. Before cities fall, economies fall. Imagine it. Gates locked. Fields outside burning, merchants no longer coming, grain no longer arriving, and no one is coming to save you. Inside the city, coins still jingle in pockets. Contracts are still valid. Laws are theoretically in force, but none of it matters. Because in a siege, money doesn't run out first. Trust does. When we think of ancient wars, we imagine swords, shields, walls being breached, heroic battles. But the truth is, most ancient wars were not won this way. They were won quietly, slowly, economically. A siege was not about defeating an army. It was about shutting down a system. Cutting trade routes, freezing supply chains, turning time itself into a weapon. The goal was not to destroy the city from the outside, but to make it consume itself from within. Ancient cities were not just population centers, they were economic engines. Labor, wealth, food storage, political authority were all concentrated there. Whoever controlled the city controlled the region. Direct assault was risky and expensive. Hunger was cheap. A besieging army didn't need to win a battle. It only needed to wait. And waiting worked because cities depended on a constant flow of food, fuel, and security. When those flows stopped, the economy inside the walls began to behave in strange, irrational, even cruel, but entirely predictable ways. The first thing that changed was not money. Coins didn't disappear overnight. Prices didn't instantly collapse into chaos. What changed was what people truly wanted. In normal times, money is a promise. It represents access to goods in the future. In a siege, the future shrinks. Promises lose credibility. Food is no longer a commodity. It becomes the currency itself. Grain replaces silver. Bread replaces wages. Control shifts to food. Control of food is control of the city. Money does not speak. History does. And history shows us that authorities take over distribution because they must. If markets are allowed to function freely under extreme scarcity, prices explode. The poor starve instantly. Disorder follows. So the state intervenes. Ration systems appear. Fixed prices are declared. On paper, this looks like order. In practice, it creates something far more dangerous, a gap between official rules and lived reality. Price controls do not eliminate scarcity. They reorganize it. Merchants do not stop responding to incentives because the law says so. If selling grain legally at a fixed price means certain ruin, they simply don't sell. They hide it, dilute it. Wait. Smuggling becomes more profitable than obedience. Hoarding becomes rational. Black markets emerge, not because people are immoral, but because survival rewards those who ignore rules. A siege economy does not destroy markets. It drives them underground. Meanwhile, trust erodes. Citizens stop believing money will protect them. Faith that the system can deliver a tomorrow collapses. And when trust collapses, every transaction becomes political. Every loaf of bread is a decision about who deserves to live one more day. In normal times, inequality can be hidden by abundance. In a siege, it has nowhere to hide. Elites enter the siege with advantages: stored grain, private networks, political leverage. They can bargain. They can wait. The poor cannot. Most urban populations depended on daily markets to survive. When those markets collapsed, there was no buffer. Soldiers were paid in food, Officials ate first. Everyone else was told to be patient. A siege does not create inequality. It removes the illusion that it wasn't already there. As days turn into weeks, money continues to circulate, but it buys less and less. Coin does not vanish. It becomes irrelevant. Barter takes over. A sack of grain is worth more than a chest of silver. The economy does not collapse randomly. It simplifies. Value returns to utility. Anything that keeps you alive today has value. Anything that might be useful someday is worth nothing. Athens learned this during the Peloponnesian War. Behind its long walls, it believed that sea access and silver reserves would protect it. For a while, they did. Money flowed, wages were paid, the system looked intact. But plague, overcrowding, and supply strain exposed the weakness beneath the surface. Grain shortages spread panic. Trust collapsed faster than the walls. Rome learned the lesson again and again. In the sieges of the Republic and Empire, food became the decisive weapon. When bread stopped coming, loyalty evaporated. Riots erupted. Emperors rose and fell not on battlefields, but in streets. In 1453, Constantinople showed this truth most clearly. For centuries, its walls repelled attackers because the city mastered endurance. The true lifeline was not stone, but the sea. Grain, trade, and supplies flowed through the Bosphorus, but Mehmed II cut off the sea access. The city's economy was strangled before the siege fully began. Rations shrank, prices soared, hunger became leverage. Money does not speak. History does. And history says this: after 2 months of resistance, no help came. When the city fell, it was not because the treasury was empty. It fell because time and resources were gone. What makes siege economies so revealing is how quickly money loses its symbolic authority. Money is a social agreement, a shared belief that tomorrow will resemble today. Sieges destroy that belief. Remove walls and armies and the mechanics remain the same. Cut supply chains, restrict movement, create scarcity. Watch how quickly a normal economy dissolves. Wartime blockades, economic sanctions, sudden trade disruptions, even natural disasters. They all trigger the same sequence. Not because history repeats itself, but because incentives do not change. Sanctions do not target money directly. They target access. They limit what can be imported, insured, transported, or paid for. Natural disasters expose this model with brutal clarity. Roads close, power fails, fuel runs low. Official prices still exist, but stock does not match them. Barter replaces currency. Trust localizes. People stop asking what something should cost. They ask whether it exists at all. The most disturbing final lesson of siege economies is this: they show us what systems are really designed to protect. In every siege, the pattern is clear. Authority prioritizes stability over justice, distribution control over equality. Losses are managed, not eliminated. Someone pays the price. Siege economies do not invent cruelty. They reveal allocation. This is not ancient history warning us about collapse. It is explaining design. Economies are fragile because they rest on assumptions: continuous trade, reliable trust, a predictable tomorrow. When those assumptions break, chaos does not remain. Hierarchy does. Sieges teach us this: money is never the foundation of survival. It is the interface. Food, energy, and trust are the underlying reserves. When they vanish, no silver, gold, or paper can hold an economy together. Cities did not fall because people lost faith. They fell because the math stopped working. History does not repeat, but it does apply pressure. And pressure always reveals structure. Money does not speak. History does. And history tells you this: if trucks do not arrive at the supermarket tomorrow, everything you hold today is only an illusion. And you? How much do you trust your system?